gonna shift gears. We're gonna talk about the greenhouse effect really fast. Has anyone ever heard of the greenhouse effect?
Yeah.
So what happens if you leave your car on a hot day? What's it feel like when you go in there?
Really hot?
Yeah, it's hot. Why? Because the heat gets trapped inside there. And that happens, our atmosphere does the same thing. The sun shines down and hits the earth, and it gets trapped in the atmosphere.
Hey, don't it depend if you got leather seat though, or not leather seat?
It does, yeah. The leather seats get hot. But I just mean that air in the car itself. Okay, we don't need to know this, so let's skip through here. Alright.
Got the camera on this one?
Anyway, the greenhouse effect is natural. That's something for you to understand because there's also some controversy involved with with global warming. So we're going to talk about that right now. So remember, the greenhouse effect is natural. If it didn't take place, the Earth wouldn't be warm enough for us to live.
Nervous?
Just keep making me laugh. Okay, global warming. Is it real or is it a myth?
Real.
Real.
It's real. Why?
Because the ice is melting, the water's increasing, and it keeps getting hotter.
Yes, very good. So I thought someone was going to say myth, but you do understand that there's data to support that the globe is getting warmer. Here's where. So anyway, it's getting warmer 1 degree Fahrenheit.
Hey, mister, why is that bad?
Over the 20th century. Hold on, I'll explain that in a second. Scientists predict that it's going to warm up between 2 to 3 degrees in the 21st century, and up to 10 degrees warmer by the year 2100. So more than 1 million species will go extinct by the year 2050. You can sit down and do that if you want.
No.
You can just use the Zoom, that's what it's for.
Pretend I'm not here.
Alright. So here is where the question comes in. Are humans causing global warming?
Yes.
Do we know that for sure, though?
Yes, because of all the cars we use and all that.
What do you think, Giovanni? Are humans causing global warming?
Yeah,
Why?
because we're polluting the air.
Okay.
All the factors that we have.
So,
All the burning that we do.
so 82% of scientists think so. 97% of climatologists think so. Okay, so like you guys said, we're putting so much pollution in the air, it's causing the atmosphere, instead of the atmosphere to get warmer. Well, the other side argues, well, the Earth goes through these natural temperature changes throughout history. There's been volcanic activity, there's been ice ages and changes in solar activity. These might just be natural cycles that the Earth goes through.
How do we know that for a fact, though?
Well, we don't.
We might be helping it increase faster.
Well, that's what 82% of scientists think so. And here's
82%?
why. Because
Scientists just lies.
yeah, because we burn hydrocarbons, and hydrocarbons puts out greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. So it's increasing the amount of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. Okay, also, Arctic ice is melting, and that is causing more of the solar radiation coming from the sun to get absorbed by the Earth. A lot of it's supposed to hit the ice and bounce back into space, but right now it's all getting absorbed by all the dirt that used to be ice in the Arctic. Also, the permafrost, which is permanently frozen dirt that's in the Arctic, is beginning to melt. And that's causing all these fossils that are in these layers that have been there since the last ice age to come up and form methane gas. So that was tens of thousands of years ago. And that's also a greenhouse gas, causing it to warm yet even more.
Hasn't like a fifth of the Arctic Ocean?
Well, here, I'm going to show you right now. So, here is 1979, here's now.
That's not now,
That's like half.
2007. Okay, so do you see how much of the ice is melted?
But I thought we covered the, like, you know how we're destroying the ozone layer or something like that?
Yeah.
I thought we
Isn't
fixed
that causing the floods? Like supposedly that California and all states are going to be.
Yeah, okay, I'm going to explain that in 1 second.
We're
What's your
supposed to
question?
run out of water in 2020?
I haven't heard that.
That's what I've seen on the
We're
internet.
going to war for water.
Well, we're not going to run out of water. We might run out of clean drinking water. I don't think it'll happen as early as 2020. I haven't heard that. Okay, so anyway,
What would
there's
happen if we ran out of clean drinking water?
we'll have to find a way to clean it, probably.
Okay.
So anyway, the
I'm saying
ice
that we
age.
should use ocean water for the shitter.
You said that. It's a good idea. It's a good idea. You should write that down and send it to somebody. Okay, Okay, so the last ice age was 110,000 to 10,000 years ago. So there are all these animals that lived on the earth that died, not just animals, but plants too, that they died, their fossils went down deep into the earth, and they've been frozen ever since that time. Right now, because the Arctic is warming up so fast, all those are coming to the surface and releasing methane gas into the atmosphere, causing more and more greenhouse gases to go into the atmosphere, causing the Earth to warm up even faster.
Actually, isn't the
So a lot of people will come out and say, well, it's cold today. So much for global warming. Global warming's not real. But there's a difference between weather and climate. Weather is just how cold or warm it is in one day, where climate is over 30 days. So if you look at the trends, the planet is getting warmer.
Some places are, some places are getting colder.
That's true. So some people say, well, who cares? Why is it going to affect me? Why does global warming affect me? 3 to 5 degrees? I like warm weather. Or some people might say the Arctic is melting. Who cares? I don't live there. Or they might say the melting of ice is causing water levels to rise. Well, that's not going to bother me. I live in Colorado in a high altitude. It's not going to affect me. And some people might say, well, small islands are disappearing. Well, that's not going to affect me. I live here. I mean, why does that matter to me?
Hey, mistress.
Okay, so we're going to look at 2 cultures here really fast to look at some people that this is greatly affecting.
Well, what about, you know, how Asia is polluting, like, the whole world?
And we're going to talk about that really fast. And then we'll go more in depth if you have any more questions after I talk, okay? Sounds good? Okay, we're going to talk about the Inuit culture. And these are people who live in the Arctic, and they rely very heavily on animals. So everything that they build, everything that they make, all the food that they eat comes from animals. So the clothes that they wear come from the skin of animals. Their transportation, which they use sleds pulled by dogs, and kayaks are made from animals. Their soap comes from animals. And their weapons, rope, and houses come from animals. So here's a couple slides of the Inuit people in the Arctic. Here's their igloo. So how is global warming affecting these people? Well, ice thinning due to the warmth is affecting them when they pursue animals. So if the ice is thin and they're pursuing animals, they can fall through. Polar bears cannot roam and can't hunt. So what do you think the polar bears are looking towards for their food now?
Instinct. People.
Yeah, the people's kids. They're eyeballing their kids, and now they're getting worried that they're going to get eaten by polar bears.
Do they have a government in Antarctica?
No, this is a North Pole, and no, they don't really have. They have like a
So they could do
community-oriented
whatever they want.
rule structure. No, I mean, no, they can't. They still have elders that they have to respect and follow their rules and that kind of thing. It's kind of a government, I guess. Okay, also, they eat seals and walruses. Well, seals and walruses can't live there anymore because they can't lay eggs. They can't, sorry, not lay eggs, but have their babies on the ice that used to be there. So, so these people can't ice fish, which they typically do, which is very important for their culture. And the whales, which they normally hunt, are going farther north because it's getting warmer where they live. So they're going and trying to find colder waters where they're used to. Okay, here's a picture of a polar bear. So they can swim, but they can't swim very long distances. So where's he going to go? So if you're a polar bear living in the Arctic by the Inuit people, what would you do? Would you tolerate these conditions, or would you go farther north where there's more ice? Well, they're going to go farther north. And they're going to go away from the Inuit people who are used to them to hunt for their clothes and for their food. All right, here's a seal. So you can see that this all should be ice. So where's he going to rear his babies? So that's going to affect the seal populations. It's going to affect the Inuit people. And then the walruses are now sitting on this iceberg. So this all used to be ice, and now it's breaking up. So they're having a lot of trouble reproducing. Okay, well, now we're going to talk really quickly about the Pacific Island, the people of the Pacific Islands. Okay, the Pacific Islands are very small islands. There's 20,000 to 30,000 islands in the South Pacific Ocean. Okay, so they're made up of coral reefs or volcanic activity, and they're barely, if at all, above sea level. So this is what you were talking about, Chris. So if you look at this island here, you can see how low it is. It's made up of a coral reef. It's barely above sea level. Yeah, please. So if water levels are rising, it's going to swallow up this island, and where are these people going to live?
Underneath the water.
By the way, one important thing that I forgot to mention is, why are the water levels rising?
Because the ice is melting.
Because the ice is melting, and it's like if you drop ice in a cup, it's going to rise the water level. That's happening across the whole globe. The ice that's melting in the Arctic is causing the water here, way down by the equator, to rise.
But no one lives there though.
On this island,
Yeah.
people live on these islands. And they ride in kayaks from island to island. Okay, so here's a slide of these islands. They're all over the South Pacific here by Australia. And so let's talk about coral reefs. Now, they are very important to these people of the Pacific Islands. So 50% of all marine life lives in coral reefs. So that's where they get most of their food. Also, they build the foundation of their houses out of coral reefs as well, these people. And also, they protect their homes from tsunamis. You guys know what a tsunami is?
Yeah.
Okay, it's an earthquake under the sea, causes a series of tidal waves. All right, so coral reefs break tidal waves. So if the coral reefs are gone, if you get a tsunami, it's going to swallow up this island. So this is a coral reef around here. So if you get a big wave, it's going to hit here, break before it hits the island. Yeah, it's going to cause some flooding, but it lessens a lot of the damage that tidal wave is going to cause.
Will you buy those
How do
items?
they make them?
How do they make what? No, coral reefs get made. They're a natural process.
Oh.
They're made out of algae and coral polyps, and they live together and build these huge walls, like these coral reefs. Okay, so two things. Water levels are rising because of global warming is melting the ice in the Arctic. And another thing is the coral reefs are dying because of global warming, because it's heating up the oceans, it's changing the acidity in the oceans, and it's causing them to die. So these are very important to these people, and it's gonna greatly impact their culture. So estimates state that all coral reefs will be gone by 2060. Okay, and coral bleaching is the process of coral reefs dying. So that's what they call it. So let me show you. This is a coral reef that's healthy. You can see all this life living here. You can see why the Pacific Island people would want to come here and fish and hunt, and also to visit. Okay, so here's a coral reef after it's died, after it's been bleached. You don't see any life here. Okay, so here's a living, healthy one. Here's a dead one. This is all because of global warming. All because of that. This 3 degrees Fahrenheit I mentioned earlier has caused these coral reefs to die. Okay, so we're losing 0.3 inches per year of coastline. Doesn't sound like a lot, but if I go back and look at this island, if this water level rises and rises, pretty soon this is all going to be swallowed up. So the developing countries of the Pacific Islands are responsible for only 0.03%. So they're the greatest impact, but they're only putting 0.03% of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. So who do you think is the biggest polluter in the world of greenhouse gases?
China.
No.
United States.
Abelino is right, it's China, but we're a close second at 20%. China puts out 22% of all the greenhouse gases. But why is that? Because of all the
33%.
20%. But we sell China the coal that they burn to get energy from.
We're responsible.
Well,
That's because
somewhat responsible, yeah.
because of the cars.
We should just use dams and go back to using horses and stuff.
That'd be tight.
Well, horses also put out gas. Seriously, it's a greenhouse gas.
What?
Horses?
Yeah,
Why?
What?
Fart or what?
yeah.
Oh,
But it's
my
less.
It's true. Yeah, it's
Much less.
I'm not sure why I put these slides here, but let me wrap this up, guys. Thanks for listening.
But come on now, like the fart.
I don't know. I don't know what it would be in comparison. I mean, imagine if we all rode a horse compared to a car.
I'll do practice all that.
I'll get a pretty horse, a white one.
Okay, so one thing to take home is what we are doing in this country affects what's happening in other parts of the country. Okay, so all the energy that we're using, all the cell phones we plug in, the TVs we watch, the computers we use, which I'm using right now. Hang on, I need like 2 more minutes. I'm almost done. Then we can talk about horses. Okay, affects people in these other remote parts of the world. So this is actually affecting these places. All right? So, and what we are doing here is affecting people way down here and people way up here. So what we do here